Well, again, thanks for joining us once again. It is the AM show, and as always, you just need to get interactive. We have a page on Facebook, Joy News on TV, and also a handle on Twitter, Joy News on TV. This is what we're about to do. We're about to share our own experiences and getting to look at what the year has been in retrospect. And as we look forward to 2015, what has been some of the issues that have happened in the course of the year, and what have been some of the experiences we've shared with not only you, our audience, but also how we've interacted with the public and the various officials publicly and the newsmakers. And taking over from us, the next two will be Aisha Ibrahim and our man, Kwabena Chenchenhene Boating. And thanks for joining me.
The Pakpakpama.
The Pakpakpama, the discoverer of the discoverers. That's my own tag for him. Okay. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, Aisha, how are you?
I'm doing great.
I've known you for some time. So. Okay, now, usually you're always interacting with members of parliament, public officials, and even the public, etc. One thing that has been very much in focus for the year has been power outages, and in many public circles or in local parlance, it's been phrased doomso. Okay. Usually when you interact with the officials, especially the members of parliament, what do they tell you privately that they don't tell the public?
Of course, regarding the doomso, you don't expect them to be happy with it. Even NDC members are not happy with it, but they cannot come out publicly to criticize government. I tell you, the biggest one happened after when the finance minister delivered the policy statement, the budget statement for 2015, and
the very recent one.
Exactly. And then the next day, parliamentary proceedings was on, and then the lights went off, come back, go off, come back, and so sitting was suspended for some time. And when they came back, the lights went off again. So the speaker got angry. And then we got to know that even the statement on the financial policy of the country was delivered on a standby generator that day. Over 2 hours it was done on, because they did not believe the ECG to give them, you know, constant supply of power. So they didn't want to take the risk, so they were on generator. Can you imagine how much cost that will incur on the state? And so you talk to the members of parliament and they are simply not happy, and they will tell you, don't think I'm a member of parliament, so I'm out of the whole thing. We're also experiencing it. Even yesterday I slept in the dark and all of that. So it's something that we all want to get out of the system, because as a country we've been in this for far too long. And for me, it's like we're not even improving. We're rather retrogressing, and I think it's about time we set up and really look at what our issues are. And I'm happy that now we have a Ministry of Power. So that's a relief. But how that ministry is going to perform in this constrained environment is another worry. I've heard the Minister for Power complain a couple of times, and just as you were reading your headlines, I heard him say he feels ashamed when he puts on his generator. Yes. You know, that's nice talk. It's good to talk and, you know, express how you feel. But, you know, knowing the country in which we stay in is very difficult, because we don't have the resources. Well, if we have, I haven't seen, or probably we have and some people are hoarding it, then I don't know. But if we have the resources, then we can get the problem solved. But from all the things that we hear from the Minister for Energy all this while has been the fact that government is challenged on one part, government is challenged here and there. And so my worry actually is that the Minister of Power is willing to do it, but will he get the needed support? Would he get the resources to get the problems fixed?
The point is that if the power plants and the various mechanisms that need to be in place are not in place, the Ministry of Power cannot achieve what it has to achieve. But always constantly interacting with the public. And I remember just a few weeks ago, you were in one of the communities, it was in Newtown, Nima, Mamobi, those areas, and you were doing roving for us on the show. The public were expressing sentiments that they would need a lot more power, etc. How much of a constraint is it for even the medium-sized businesses in those communities who, because they are based in residential areas, are very much affected based on the schedule that is always been implemented by ECG as a distributor.
True, Roland. I mean, very much so. Many people, I mean, this power thing is a big deal for everyone, for industries, for businesses, for individuals, for virtually everyone. You know, so when you go out and you speak to people, there's frustration. Let me put it that way. People are just frustrated by it. Because day in, day out, it seems to be the case that, okay, we are told the situation is going to be better. Let's say we are given a timeline. Say, okay, in a month's time, in 2 weeks' time, in 6 months' time. Even by the president, you know. So if your president is giving you the assurance, is giving you the hope that whatever the case is, you're actually going to see some improvement in the system, then I just don't get it. If you wait and the time comes and no such thing is happening, obviously you'll be disappointed. You know, and if you're a business and you're planning based on what your government is saying, then I don't know. If you make the provision that, okay, so if the president is saying that by this time a trouble should be flowing, this should be happening, so by that time we might have gotten some additional 400 megawatts. I mean, they keep on giving us the technical terms and all, and you plan accordingly and the time comes and there's no power, what do you do? You know, so it's difficult. And when you move into residences also, I mean, for some, I spoke to one person, for instance, in at East Legon, and he didn't have a problem with buying the fuel for the generator and everything. His main concern was with the noise the generator makes. You see, so even that alone is an inconvenience. Fine, you're not giving me the power. Yes, I can afford it. I can buy the fuel and all.
But he has a generator.
He does have a generator. Because he has generators, actually. Okay. But the noise it provides, just too much. He just can't handle it.
It's a constant border.
I am telling you. You know, so for some of these things, they get you frustrated because you're paying so much. And mind you, utility tariffs have been going up. I don't remember the last time they went down anyway, but they've been going up. So you're paying so much because anytime the PULC comes out to justify some of these things, what they tell us is that, I mean, for the ECG and for the other utility providers to actually give us the needed service, the service we require, we would have to pay more. We paid more, and the situation actually worsened.
Well,
there's an inverse relationship.
I think you should prepare to pay more because if you look at the high, huge amount of money owed the ECG by government, and government is not showing any signs of, you know,
perhaps paying back in the near future
all those monies. And for me, it's ridiculous to see that the ECG bus was replaced. Well, I don't know why the president did that, but I haven't seen any improvement anyway.
There are times you're talking to public officials as a reporter and having hindsight and interacted with quasi, perhaps state agencies like the PRC, etc., and even experts within, let's say, VRA, ECG, and they tell you the truth, and you speak to a top public official or let's say a minister, and he's telling you something differently on camera. Well, you have no control over it, and you know that perhaps it may not be entirely the truth. What goes into you? What goes through you, I mean?
You know, sometimes you put across questions to people and you know the answer, but you can't tell them that, look, I know what you're coming to tell me, so don't say it. Because sometimes people want to hear from the horse's own mouth. And sometimes, as a journalist, I have to be professional. Even though I know what you're going to tell me, I still have to allow you to speak your mind. But sometimes we know that what he's saying is not true. You will push and push, and, you know, sometimes you need to lay the facts, you know, there for him to know that, my friend, what you're saying is not true. And so you just need to stop kidding us. And we've done that. I remember in Parliament the last time when the Minister for Finance came to deliver the policy statement, our financial policy statement, and then we caught the the Minister for Energy, and then we put the question to him: when is the doomso going to end? That's a simple question, right? But the minister went round and came back. We asked the question again. Fine, those are technical words. The ordinary Ghanaian does not understand all these technical jargons. All they want to know is, tomorrow you're going to be sleeping in the lights for 24 hours or 24/7, no lights out. When is that going to end? And the minister couldn't answer that question. We asked him again. Then now he started blaming ECG. I am blaming ECG because ECG has failed totally. forgetting that government has refused to pay ECG the debts they owe ECG. And so it's not only ECG's mess, it's the mess of VRA, Gridco, yeah, the three of them. And then just after his statement, the next day, we saw that the ECG boss has been replaced. So people attributed that statement to the president's reaction. That was it because the Minister for Energy said ECG has failed woefully. That is why the ECG boss has been replaced. But you look into it and you realize that the bottom line is the fact that there are problems that needs to be dealt with, and if they are not uprooted and they're dealt with at the, you know,
at the face level,
it's not going to work.
Now, speaking of ECG, you know, government is, should I say, in the process of privatizing it. I mean, there are two options available now currently. There's a concession option and the partial privatization. That's what they are saying. And the last time I was at a program, I spoke to the consultants and all, and they are aware the majority of the problem comes from government. Government is aware it's 90% the problem. You know,
and government is supposed to fix it.
Government is supposed to fix it.
Okay.
So you are telling me, okay, I'm underperforming. Yes, I need money to expand certain things, to do things I need to do. And government alone, you owe me about, let's say,
close to $1 billion.
$1 billion Ghana cedis. That is a lot of money. You know, so if I'm unable to do what I'm supposed to do, and you tell me, okay, there are let's say the generational losses are too much and distribution losses and blah blah blah, you come out with all these technical things and all. I mean, why then do you blame me? So now, under the Compact 2, which we've signed on to, we are being given some $498 million or so, and chunk of that money is supposed to be pushed into the energy sector. And with that, we are hoping, well, what they tell us is that we are going to choose one of the two options, the partial privatization, in which case government is going to sit back and get someone to manage affairs of ECG for some years.
So more like getting privatizing management of the ECG.
Not necessarily so. You know, if it's a management contract, the people don't bring in any money. But with this, whoever is coming on board has to also invest some money. Okay. So that person or that company will be bringing in some money.
Wouldn't the company give in some level of equity in the company as well?
Government says no. Government takes full equity of whatever is happening. So the people coming on board are just to help manage things. And
but still make sure that they attract investment.
True. True, that's the thing. But the challenge here is usually when such things come on stream, there will be a lot of job cuts. Whether you like it or not, there will be a lot of job cuts. And people are looking at the ripple effect should such a thing happen. I mean, assuming we are cutting down jobs by, say, 2,000 or 3,000, that's about 2,000 people who are feeding an additional 10,000 people going home. So that's another problem.
We know that before you go do interviews and interact with, well, experts at the helm of affairs, not necessarily those who are in public office, but whether they are NGOs or civil society members or consultants, etc., you tend to do a lot more research. And by doing that, you are very much armed with a lot more information. When you get to interact with consumers, for example, and we're talking this time on energy, and you know that the problem is not going to be fixed in 2 weeks, even though perhaps on radio a day before, they had been told by either the president promising them, and we've seen that this year a lot, or the minister speaking on radio or being splashed somewhere on newspapers that it will be fixed in the next 2 weeks. How do you feel? I mean, the public expressing sentiment, and you know that the problem is not going to end in 2 weeks.
To be honest with you, I feel sympathy. To be very honest with you. Because sometimes some people are so optimistic, and I don't know whether they are blinded by politics sometimes. But certain people are just too optimistic about certain things. And it's so obvious when they are speaking, they speak about it, they mention things, oh, I mean, it's going to happen. Yes, we know we have challenges, blah, blah, blah. You know, and usually you need to get a lot of contacts as a journalist. So you find out a lot of information. You talk to this, talk to that, talk to this. So you have something small. So when you talk to the ministers, the big guns, you speak to them and they start going about the bush. And you sometimes give them facts which you have gathered, obviously not disclosing yourself. So you just give them facts.
Yeah, the case that
Exactly.
it's not going to be possible, or to the contrary.
So when you mention that, they'll be like, you know what, you hold on, stop recording.
Sometimes they do
like,
that
you
a
hold on,
lot.
you stop recording.
It's if you don't have your facts, then they can just walk over you.
True.
But if you have your facts, you realize that once you put it to them and he says, no, it is this way, they want to have their way, and you say, no, this is it. Yeah. This is the truth.
And I have this.
Why are you lying? And then they will now corner you and say,
so
you know, let me explain to you, my lady.
Before we start recording or continue recording.
But you know, so that's how it is.
And sometimes you go ahead, you proceed to tell them, okay, so you know this is the situation. Why is this information out there? Because and many people have lambasted the government over A, B, and C and everything. I don't really think the problem has to do with the government. I think it's about the communication. Some way, somehow, the kind of information that is put out there does not really reflect what's going on. I don't know how it happens or why it happens, but probably some people need to get things checked.
Aisha, a lot of businesses have been affected, and we have the AGI president, James Asare-Agyei. Is it James Asare-Agyei?
Yeah.
Constantly talking about how, well, the books, the financial books of many companies are still in red because constantly they have to spend a lot more of their monies on
fuel,
on generation. Okay. At what point do we think that businesses also need to perhaps take a firm stand on what actions they need to take based on, well, if they have to compel government to do so and so, either consistently by cutting jobs or doing something drastic?
Well, consistently cutting jobs could have been one of the best situations. That is, if the government is, is concerned, because it's gotten to a point for me that government doesn't even really care anymore, because we keep on hearing, and I feel that the whole issue has been politicized and that we cannot do it. This is the reality. But because of politics, we need to say we will do it so that we'll put some hope. Yes, it's good to put hope in the people, but you see, if you are a parent or you're a mother or father and you keep on lying to your child, it gets to a point your child does not believe you anymore. And so cutting jobs would have been one of the best things, but government is no longer showing any interest, and so if they cut jobs, well,
who cares?
Who cares?
But I tend to disagree with Aisha on that. You know, not that they do not care. Probably
the resources are not there.
The resources are there,
but they're not telling us the truth. They're not telling us the truth, because if you tell me that, okay, in 2015 we are going to have about 1,000 and a million jobs, for people, and so that at least we can cut the unemployment rate by half, then I know you're making sense. And then 2015 comes and I don't see that, and you haven't come out to really explain to me. It's not about we're having challenges, but tell us, what challenges are you having? If we don't get that, then we think you're lying to us.
There's an instant too. I know you want to add something. Yeah. There's an instant too. You speak to the politicians, and the question about when do we take politics out of the issue of energy, and I've spoken to a number of consultants, and they say we really need to take politics out of it. When you're speaking to, let's say, opposition parties, off camera, they tell you, well, we know this is the problem. problem. You get me?
Sure.
So
sure.
It's something that is there. When do we remove the politics out of all this?
You know, I think as a people, it's high time we moved beyond. It has gotten to a point where politics in this country has become very petty. Let me be very honest. You know, it's high time we moved beyond that. If we are looking at the interest of the country and not the political party or the individuals who make up the party, then we really need to, I don't know, we really need to change a lot of things. There's so much emphasis on getting the support of people, getting people to trust the government, getting people to renew our mandate. not looking at the long-term problem. And I mean, it's part, I don't know why, but we don't even have a clear plan we are following as a country. I mean, everyone comes in with his or her own thing. You know, someone talks about free SHS and someone says, oh, it's not possible. Someone comes along the line and says, okay, we're going to do free SHS now. Someone says, oh, you're now doing free SHS. Where are you going to get the money from? I mean, all these, and you sit back and you wonder, you realize, I don't know, it seems you are just, okay, at a point you are moving in this direction, just some 30, 40 minutes down the line, we change routes again.
Roland.
But I wanted to add something to what you said about the industry thing, and whether or not the cutting jobs would probably get government to do what is right. You know. So now, here's the case. You're in business. You're a private investor. You've invested money into a venture.
And you need to recoup.
You need to recoup.
You cut jobs
you see,
and reduce productivity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so for the telcos, for instance, I was speaking to some people the other time. And
but they have cut jobs a lot.
They have. But the point is, assuming there's okay, you know, when it's a private entity, there isn't really duplication of work. So if I realize you're not really giving me any value, I mean, you obviously yes, then I cut you off because they are wasting as much as 100 million Ghana cedis on fuel. You can just imagine. I mean, how much are you making as profit? And mind you, let's use the telecom industry only as a basis. Look at the kind of competitors you have. And if you don't do it, someone is doing it. Bear in mind, you still have to do your marketing, do your advertising, do your sponsorships, do your every other thing you're doing. And you are getting additional cost here. So yes, cutting jobs may be an option, but really isn't that going to affect your productivity?
Okay.
That's where the challenge is.
Yeah, of course. It comes back to the fact that if you have a government that you think really is committed to creating employment for the people, especially the youth, if you cut jobs, you know that government will be affected. Government will sit up and say, hey, my people are not having jobs because of ABC, so why don't I fix the problems so that they can create the jobs for the people? But I'll come back to your issue of politicization, and I'll tell you why they can't ever be the case that
we'll remove the politics out of the...
Because you see, you speak...
The discord.
I was happy when you spoke about opposition, that the opposition party will say, oh, yeah, cry about, will face the same problem. But they will come out and criticize government, even in... Or probably they know the issues, and sometimes they even know how to resolve the issues. But they will tell you, "Men, I mean, can't show now, glory." No. So when you vote me in, I'll also do it. So that is how we cannot get.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This country is facing a problem because elsewhere, once you're an expert in a particular field, once you have the means to do certain things to benefit the country, you put aside this partisan thing and you help.
You're very much nationalistic towards it.
I am telling you, you know.
But you remember the Minister for Power? He said that he's going to bring up, the new one. We've never had one. This is our first.
Yes, we've only had one.
So he said he's going to bring, ideas and experiences from both sides. I'm looking forward to see how that's going to be. It would be very lovely if it happens, but I'm envisaging that he would have some difficulties achieving that.
One of the biggest things that happened beyond the depreciation of the city were the litany of strike actions we had during the year. And that ultimately culminated in the dispute or impasse over pensions, the second-tier pensions. It started with UTAG and POTAG. Actually, POTAG starting and then UTAG starting. Beyond that, we already had the coalition of concerned teachers going on a strike action, threatening within the period, etc. How were the effects of the strike actions? Not necessarily, let's say, on the state, but on the citizenry, in terms of the parents and the teachers, as well as the pupils or the students that we interacted with during the year.
All right, maybe let me start off on this note. You know, one day I was producing news file, and a teacher sent a message that in 2008 his salary was around 800 Ghana cedis.
That was good.
And now
2008 is cool.
Yes, he says his salary was around 800 or so. And
and now he's
in 2014, his salary is about 1,002 because of the single spine. He takes about 1,200 cedis. Now his problem is, I think he does something outside the country. So anytime he gets his salary, he converts it into US dollars and he uses it for his transaction. And now when he converts the money, it's about $350 or so at the time. Comparatively, his life in 2008 was better. That's what he meant. So if someone like that looks at his salary, yes, you're telling me you've increased my salary, you've given me some emoluments and everything, but yet still I can't really use the money for what I intend using it for. What's the point? He's peeved. Already he has issues he needs to deal with. And you, for one reason or the other, you're unable to do things the way he thinks you should do them. And because of your inefficiencies, in quotes, he's had to bear the brunt. He's actually suffering because of that. And so, yes, they were peeved. They went out there, they did all their demonstrations and strikes and all, and there were court issues and all. But you go out there, if you're a parent and for, say, 3 months, for instance, the POTAC strike, for instance, about 2 months or 3 months.
Almost 3 months.
People were home, students were home. I mean, let's just look at the possible implications. You're at home, doing nothing, idling about. I mean, they're in the university. Okay, tertiary institution, I mean, it's a polytechnic. So they might have boyfriends and girlfriends, they might have colleagues and all. The tendency for you to call someone, because you're just home doing nothing.
So you mean they may overindulge? They may
exactly.
overindulge.
A lot of things may happen. You know, other things may come into the fray, and in the end, I don't know.
No, but Aisha, the effects on the pupils and the delay in the academic calendar and how
let me quickly check this.
How it tends to influence teaching and learning.
For those who are in, you know, for the polytechnics, they do a 3-year system, right? Those who are in their final year, they're level 300 or so. I spoke to, I went there, the story from there, and they didn't have people to even supervise their work, their project work. And it took so long, and even when the lecturers came back, I still went there, and some people were like, the lecturers were still not even looking at their, because they are overburdened, or they have to prepare questions for the others. I mean, the level 100s and level 200s, they have to prepare questions for yourself. They have to, I mean, everything was just jammed up. And if you look at it critically, does it help anyone? Yes, you're fighting for a cause, we get that. But, their stand is that government has taken an entrenched position, doesn't want to do anything about their concerns. So unless, of course, they see government making a move, they won't also make any move. And in the end, the children are the ones suffering. You know, if you don't, okay, you're in school doing nothing. And funny enough, after they came to the table and resolved the issues, it was supposed to be paid in 3 installments, October, November, December. As of the first week in December, I spoke to some teachers.
With December? This December?
Yeah, first week or so. They've still not even received a dime.
Of the 3 months?
Of the 3 months.
Installments.
And so
it looks likely by the beginning of the next semester.
So let's just see what happens. So you
mean POTAC? Because UTAG yes. They've received.
POTAC, I spoke to.
UTAG they've received. They have?
Okay.
They've received.
I spoke to some people from POTAC. And that's what they told me that
it was supposed to be over research allowances.
Yes.
Right? UTAG have received. I know.
You see, so if this happens, you don't pay them, and next year they decide to embark on another industrial action. They decide to go on strike. Do you really think you telling them, you come to the table and let's negotiate to do something? Do you think that will really get them satisfied and say, oh, government says you do it, so let's go home? That's what's going to happen.
I think that the biggest effects, perhaps, of the labor agitations was on education and how the pupils or students felt in this country. This is a country where for some few years now we've been complaining that performance of students is dwindling. And this is the case that teachers are going on strikes every now and then. I ask myself, can't government resolve this issue once and for all? Yes, we could talk about the teachers also being impatient at a point, but when you listen to them, I have spoken with a lot of the labor agitators, and I've spoken with a lot of teachers, and I've also spoken with labor consultants. The issue is that these issues are very delicate issues and they must be handled as such, but for them, government is not like handling it the way it should be handled, because for instance, even the last one they went on the
you mean the pension?
Exactly. Government promised them something that, okay, let's wait till this time and then let's negotiate and resolve the issue. And then we realized that later government passed the back door, went to court, and then court put an injunction on them that you can't go on strike. You see, what this means is that now the people will not believe government anymore. And so if they are embarking on those strikes...
So it's not got to do with an issue of trust.
Trust. Yeah. And if they are embarking on such exercises and government says, oh, don't do it, I want to do ABCD for you, it will not work. And labor consultants are also complaining about the security aspect of this, that if workers are not satisfied, they can resolve to any other thing. And this, a coup can even come out of this. Yes, these are some of the things that labor consultants tell me when I speak with them. Yeah, but that's the truth. And so I think that government should start looking at some of this issue. They may be seen as little, but they may bring grave consequences. Because
they create some level of insecurity and instability.
And I ask myself, the Labour Commission, what really is the Labour Commission doing? Because you speak with some of the agitators and they say that most of the meetings that they arrange to attend, representatives from Labour Commission have one excuse or the other. And so it's like they don't even care about them. You understand? So the trust is no longer there.
Within the period, the concerns raised by the Labour consultants, as well as the affected associations or aggrieved worker unions, was that government was not preemptive. They don't. They tend to give the signs. They tend to give the signs. Oh, we are going to strike in 5 weeks if you don't
do this.
Yes, and then, well, we get to see that people wait till perhaps the day of the strike and say, well, we called for an emergency meeting and they never appeared. And really, when you interact with those who are instigating or have started a strike action, they said, we never got any calls for meetings. And
yes,
that's why we issued the warnings long ago.
That's why.
How do you think that government officials need to be very much preemptive about some of these things?
That is why I told you that with most of the labor consultants that I've spoken with, they have expressed unhappy about or dissatisfaction about how government handles such issues, because they feel that government should attach more attention to it. Because if somebody gives you a hint, maybe 5 weeks hint, and say that on this date I will do this if you don't do that, and you wait till last minute before you come and say that, oh, we called for an emergency meeting and they didn't turn up, and da-da-da-da-da. For me, it's neither here nor there. And so labor consultants advise, not me, that going forward, government must really sit down, because some of the issues, if you handle it from beginning, I think it will not even escalate to that point. But it looks like sometimes government is a bit relaxed about these issues, and they feel that what the agitators sometimes say, that government feels that, oh, these people, leave them, they can't do it, or
and
something.
Then they get to do it.
You understand?
You see,
so
it's like government underestimates the potential losses some of these things can create. They'll be like, oh, I mean, if they say don't go, let them stay. If they don't work, let them stay there. You know, and I mean, it's happened in the country before where someone has said, a minister or even a president has actually said that if you won't work, go. We'll get certain people to come and replace you. You know, so if you've taken such a stand and you say it in the face of such people, I mean, what do you expect? You know, it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the cause of anyone. And, you know, just recently, I think just a week or two ago, the Forum for Pensioners something had another press conference. They used the media, and even the presidency is aware. I mean, the government is aware, because there was a BNI cooperative there, and they sent these messages there that, hey, the people are saying do this, so why don't you, if for nothing at all, you don't need to do anything for us to see. You can go behind the scenes and talk to them. Talk to them. You know, you have a minister, you have a deputy minister, there are agencies, you can delegate people. Just talk to them. That's all.
The next subject I want us to look at is 1 week. Was it 1 week of fuel shortage?
Yeah.
That's great. The
whole of 1 week or more than 1 week.
That gripped the whole of Accra.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible sight to behold.
Did you have fuel at the time?
At the time, I didn't. I had to travel to the central region to get fuel. And I tell you, it was terrible.
Okay, I didn't get to the central region
I got
proper,
to the central
but
region.
I went beyond Kaswa.
No, I got to Kaswa, went to Nyanyano, I didn't get. I traveled to Winneba, I didn't get. I went to Ejumakon. A little after Ejumakon, I got it.
Then you got it with your
no, with the car.
With the car, you are lucky. I didn't have. I had just a little, so
I was in the
afraid.
red. I remember when I got to Winneba, I was in the red from Winneba to Ejumakon, and that approximately driving 100 kilometers per hour takes like 10 to 12 minutes, or if your car is a bit slow, 15 minutes.
I was scared. I was actually scared.
Because you're always scared.
My fuel will get finished once
Okay.
I move the car. So I parked my car, I picked the taxi, and the taxi driver took me round. Imagine how much I paid. And I was sad. I was really sad with my yellow gallon, the one they term Kufwa gallon. And I asked myself, I have to queue for water, and I have to sleep in the dark. Then I have to go combing the whole country for fuel. I was really sad.
Now you're talking as a consumer. You're talking as a consumer, but you're experiencing the frustration of the ordinary motorists who would have to go and queue. And sometimes there were fisticuffs at the various petrol dumps where they had supplies once in a while or intermittently.
I see, but it wasn't all gloom anyway. Let me add that because there was.
I'm sure you're closer to the powers that be.
No. I'm just saying there was some free flow of traffic. I mean, if you live where I live and you need to wake up and get to your place by say 6 a.m.
Where do you live?
But that's get to that. I mean,
I'm sure you live at East Lagos, so you don't have a problem.
That means you have to wake up very early and leave home, but there was no traffic. I mean, that's just the other part.
Okay. Yes, there was no traffic.
There was no traffic.
Because there was no fuel.
There was no fuel.
So you would want shortages all the time.
Oh,
but let's talk about the experiences of as you went to the petrol downs,
True.
or you interacted with people the disagreements they had at the petrol.
Angry, and you know, if you were fortunate to have fuel at your fuel station, that was it. You would have heavy, should I say traffic? Yeah, heavy traffic from your place to say the end of the stretch of the road, because everyone wanted fuel. And it got to a point, I don't know, but I don't know whether some adjusted their pumps anyway.
But me, I'm sure the people who sell the fuel would want it to happen all the time, because they really cashed in. They've made a lot of money, and some of them were even selling it at exorbitant prices. But what would you do? You needed to power your vehicle, so you would buy it. So
look at the situation where there's doomsaw and there's no fuel. What happens?
And then the interesting thing is that we come back and fuel prices are up.
And you know, and I spoke to some people who said it was a deliberate attempt by government
to do what?
Increase the price of fuel, because
that's just a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
but for you as a journalist, for you as a journalist, you're always in a position where, because you tend to speak to a lot more public officials and the newsmakers, etc. Sometimes people around you, your publics, they tend to imagine or think that, well, you can resolve a lot more problems whilst you can't.
Yeah, and you know, this is Joy News. So when they see Joy News and they speak to Joy News, no, I'm just saying, this is Joy News.
And we
work for a big company.
You're a big man.
We work for a big company. You're a big company. I mean, it's Joy News.
Oh, okay.
So they see Joy News and they feel you can help them. For you, when you speak, when you put it out there that these are our concerns, yes, government will listen and government will do something about it. Funny enough, one time I did roving early in the morning
on this very subject,
on the fuel thing and everything. And I think when I brought the footage and everything, it was being played. Calls started coming in to the producer, because she and all were receiving calls that, hey, why are we trying to paint a picture like, hey, this is the situation? But that was actually the situation.
You got calls from where?
Oh, people called.
From
you
top,
you have to protect yourself.
This is what bothers me sometimes.
That why you paint a gloomy picture.
When you're a journalist and you're speaking the truth, then people tend to, you know.
Which people do you mean?
Well, you understand what I'm talking about, but it looks like you're trying to paint somebody paint somebody black or something, but that is the truth. That is the truth. You know, we are mouthpiece for the people who cannot speak. We are the voice for the voiceless. And so if the issues are there and we know the truth and we cannot speak the truth, then we must as well get out of this job.
And
because
go and do banking.
Exactly, because over there you don't talk, you sit down and you just be those things. But if you've chosen this profession, you should be able to speak for the community. You speak for the society. I remember the last time when the Deputy Minister for Energy and who made a pledge in Parliament that by 2015, first quarter of 2015, DUMSO will end, or we will resolve our energy deficit. We will be able to.
You mean he said 2014 or
2015? 2015, first quarter of 2015. Yeah, he said it in Parliament.
Okay.
And he said that by end of by first quarter of 2015, we'll be done with our energy deficit, or we'll make a headway in our energy deficit, so that all these problems we're having will be a thing of the past. Then, when we reported, I wasn't here, and then when I came, I was told that he called in and said he did not say so, whereas he was speaking for himself. I didn't say that for him. So it's very pathetic when you report on issues and sometimes they themselves have said it, and then they will come back and deny.
Is it assumed that perhaps the subject of talk or whatever they may have said is perceived to be misinterpreted?
Really? I don't think so. If you're making
a categorical
statement, initially that particular sound clip, I still have it. I think it's still on the PC anyway. You know, this is how it is. Initially he was just beating about the bush, not really going straight to the point. Said that even by the first quarter of 2015, even if we haven't been able to eradicate DUMSO, would have been able to manage it to a very large extent.
Exactly.
Its effect will be very minimal.
How would you analyze such a thing? If somebody says that, somebody listen to how the whole thing was. He said the problems we're facing with, because the question put to him by the Member of Parliament was that when are we going to have DUMSO ending? Then he said that
there was a question posed on the floor of Parliament,
exactly,
by a member
of Parliament, and he said the problems we're facing now is because of ABCD reasons, and so by the first quarter of 2015 we'll be able to do away with a lot of the country's deficit, and so the challenges we're facing now will be resolved. How would you analyze such a thing?
You know,
it's straightforward. Yeah. So if he comes back and say, I did not say that, for me...
So it's like
as a journalist, as a journalist, having reported the subject, how does it make you feel if there's some level of aberration or perhaps criticism from the other side, that you misinterpreted what I said or misreported it?
Oh, it's normal. I see it as normal, me doing my job. Wow. Provided I know what I did was the right thing, my editor checked what I did and ticked it. That's why he's an editor, he has a green tick. Once he okays it, I don't have any problem with any other person. Because this is Joy News. You don't just go out there, come up with anything and just put it out there. A lot of scrutiny goes into the kind of material you bring here. So I brought the material, I've sat with the editor to discuss it. We've scoped it at a particular angle based on the very things that you have said or whoever it is has said, and we put out the story, and then you turn around to actually blame me for saying or for propelling untruth. I mean, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen here. So I'm not really perturbed by such things. I mean, you hear them anyway.
Well, I haven't really had those issues because
you're beautiful.
Probably
you don't usually.
No, probably because I report. Probably because
I'm sure nobody will tell you.
Probably because I report from Parliament or the presidency. You know, in Parliament, for instance, you need to be very careful. You need to cross-check, cross-check.
It's also because
again.
In Parliament you go through a certain rudiment of reporting.
If you make a mistake, you will find yourself in court.
Actually,
so I think that has guided me me a lot, and so I'm very careful the kind of things
So
I say. But I will still speak the truth. I will still speak the truth.
You still put it out there, and the minister said it was wrong.
One interesting thing about TV, that's why I'm saying that, and because one interesting thing about TV is that you have sound bites, and the person's face is there. He will not tell you that the tape, it was what
the doctor.
Was a doctor
in his radio, they can say no, it's a doctor.
Exactly. So that is the interesting thing about
you can't doctor the image.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. The thing that perhaps we'll use to climax our discussion will have to be the issue of how you were able to discover the Kpakpa man. How do you do it? You were just going out there.
Fishing.
And then it spread on social media.
It was surprising the way it even blew up like that. I mean, it's a normal day, normal working day, and I think that day, yes, I was on Roving that day. Yeah, so I went out seeking views from the ordinary Ghanaian on the assessment of the economy and its current state. So I spoke to a lot of people. So you just speak to people, you just sample opinions, sample views. And I was just about leaving when I just met that guy, that gentleman. So I don't know what even came over me. I was like, he asked me during news, and I said, yes, we are speaking about this, we are talking about this. Do you want to speak to us? And he says, oh, no problem, he would speak to us. And we just
Okay, so let's listen to him. And we know that Fred would want to give us. Fred, well, our director, please can you give us, start again for us.
My general assessment of the Ghanaian economy is like, due to the economy, I don't know, they were doing it politics, which it shouldn't be. Do you know? So now it seems like, I don't know, the thing can go, then it will come down. So now, please, I don't know.
So, personally, how are your finances? Are your finances?
Me, assuming the way I'm with you right now, I will not even sit down for Ghanaian economy to didn't allow me to give birth, because me, I follow like 9 bone or 10 bone. Yes.
So that means regardless of the state of the economy, regardless of the money, you still procreate.
I say if I have to give birth, I have to give birth.
How many children do you have now?
I have 5 children.
You are hoping to get more?
No, but I'm jobless. I have 5 children. But still, you know, with God, all things are possible.
So how are you taking care of those 5 children?
Yes. You ask a question. How do I take care of 5 of them? Yes. Do you know? Pak. Do you know pak?
You have to tell me that.
Yes. Pak. But it's a movement. If you move, you pass here, pak. Then you elaborate yourself. Then adjust certain things together. Yeah.
I can only see you making gestures and all, but I still don't get the meaning of the pak.
No, we don't steal. Please, me, if I get arrest of a thief, I can stab you. I'll kill you. We don't steal.
Just do pak.
But no movement. You can go to Katamanto. There are so many things over there. You pick it. You pass a roadside. Somebody can buy this and that. Oh, please, you can get your queens to come and settle your family. Why should you go and steal?
The gentleman has been in the studio. What did you meet him? Where exactly did you?
We met around Kotobabi.
Oh,
Kotobabi, yeah.
Just
myself
down,
and
just down here.
Yes. Myself and Richard Akwa, the cameraman. So we went there. And he just spoke to us about it, and I came, and after using it for the Roving, I decided to use it for Unscripted. So I showed it to MFA. She was in charge of Unscripted, and she said, okay, she liked it, let's use it. And we used it, and some way, somehow, someone got that particular footage I think it is in the US or so. I hear there's this website, Mommy TV or so. They got it and they put it out there, and
that was how it started.
And it just went viral, and it's everywhere. Everyone is talking about Papa. Everyone is, you know, and even there's a song about Papa and all. And it's
the song is by who?
By Guru, actually.
Okay.
That's his latest single.
The hip life artist.
Yes, you know. But for me, it's not really about that thing. He was expressing frustration at certain things. He's saying, no, true, because the economy is, at the time, let me use that time period, it was terrible.
Tough.
It was very tough. And he was telling you that the economy is tough, but that shouldn't give you the license to go stealing.
Okay.
You know, it's terrible, but you can still manage with something. Do something about it. And not too long ago, I visited him, and his life hasn't changed much anyway. You know, he's become very popular. He tells me he's become very popular, and because of his popularity, he's unable to do his Papa movements. So I've kept him hostage. His words. I've kept him hostage. He's unable to do his Papa things, and he was surviving based on the Papa things he was doing. You know, but this is the situation. I mean, people are using him. People are using his phrase, and no one has even had the the moral something
kindness
to actually get to him and talk to
okay,
him.
so we'll be wrapping up with a Papa song, but from next week, you'll be doing the show. Aisha,
Yeah.
you're already relatively experienced.
So we'll be doing our Papa movement.
Okay, so you have to join them next week.
Yeah.
And Kwabna Hene Boateng, thanks for joining us.
Sure,
and
sure,
Aisha Ibrahim, well, do enjoy the rest of the Yuletide. I hope that
And
you
you enjoy your holidays.
Yes, yes. I always love the holidays.
You'll be having the cover.
All right. So